Mina, for as good as the numbers have been for this Titans running game, could they actually be better this season?
I expect them to, Laura. I mean, Derrick Henry toted the rock 378 times last year. That usually doesn't bode well for running backs going forward, but I think he can defy expectations for a couple of reasons. One, he's Derrick Henry. He is built different, quite literally. But two, I think next to Tannehill, he's the guy who benefits the most from the presence of Julio Jones. You know, in the past, under former offensive coordinator Arthur Smith, and with Johnny Smith on the roster, the Titans used a ton of 12 personnel, meaning 2 tight ends on the field. I think that's likely to change. You're going to see more wide receivers on the field. You're going to see more defenses playing 2 high safety, and Derrick Henry is going to eat as a result because he gets to run into lighter boxes. In fact, last year, when he ran into 6-man boxes, he averaged over 5 yards per carry. That is crazy. So NFL defensive coordinators are looking at this and shaking their heads because it's a real pick your poison scenario and there are no right answers.
There is no right answers. When you look at this offense and you talk about 2 studs on the perimeter and A.J. Brown and Julio Jones, the rich just got richer. Now you got a big bull in the backfield that basically 8 and 9 men in the box will not be there. And Tannehill's not the problem with this offense. And better yet, the offense is not the problem. It's simply the defense, because I believe Tannehill is a Super Bowl type quarterback. You don't need to be Aaron Rodgers. You don't have to be that guy to win a Super Bowl. Think about it. Guys that have won Super Bowls in the last couple years, they didn't have crazy numbers in those games. Tom Brady, he threw for 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. But what he was is he was efficient, and he allowed his defense to do the dirty work for him. And in the end, he became the Super Bowl winner for the 7th time. So you look at the defensive side of the ball, they've got to improve. We all figured Brehm came over from Houston. There was going to be a great defense. They really haven't given us what we thought. You talk about a young secondary. Kristen Fulton takes over for Adoree Jackson and Malcolm Butler, along with Elijah Moulton coming from Washington. That's a young secondary again. There's no pass rush. They thought Jadeveon Clowney was going to work out. It didn't quite go as well. So they've got to retool that defense and get them going. But on the offensive side, Laura, I think they're in pretty good shape.
Listen, there are defensive questions, but I think there are some offensive questions too, because I know that Mina's saying that they should be better on offense. Derrick Henry should be better. If we go and look at the history of 2,000-yard rushers in the NFL, there's never been one that's done better the next season than he did during his 2,000-yard season. On top of that, you have a new offensive coordinator in Todd Downing, and Todd Downing's a good coach. That's not the issue, but Arthur Smith was very creative, very innovative, and that's the reason he got a head coaching job in Atlanta. So anytime you take a prolific offensive coordinator off a roster, that offense is going to be different that next year. Maybe it's better in some ways. Maybe it's not the same in others. But it's going to be different than it was last year, despite the presence of Derrick Henry and Julio Jones and A.J. Brown and all the talent they do have. I just think, hold on, let's see how it plays out before we're saying they're better than they were last year. They'll be different than they were last year.
So, Mina, what do you say to Adam's point about the fact that the 2,000-yard rusher has never repeated that next season with a performance as good?
I think it's a good point. I mean, history speaks for itself in this case. It is really hard to not only continue that level of efficiency and production, but just the volume that Derrick Henry, because before last year, he carried it 378 times last year. He carried it over 300 times the year before. That is very challenging. But I'll say this about Todd Downing, who's the new offensive coordinator. If you have A.J. Brown and Julio Jones and you can't scheme guys open, you shouldn't be the offensive coordinator of an NFL team, because that is such an absurd 1-2 punch, and it creates so many problems for DBs because you cannot single out those guys.
No, you think about Corey Davis was there last year, and he played his way into a nice free agent contract with the New York Jets, but he's not a healthy Julio Jones. And I think just having Julio out there on the perimeter certainly will free A.J. Brown up, even though he may not be the #1 target in Tennessee's offense. You can win by committee. There's no question about it. You don't have to throw the football to one guy. You don't have to run it to one. I think the offense is Super Bowl ready. They just got to get that defense going.
Key, did you just say that the Titans could win the Super Bowl?
No. I said Super Bowl ready. I didn't say they can win it. I'm saying they got to get the defense together, Laura. Now, don't try to put anything in my mouth. Stop it.
I was trying to get
We heard it. We heard
We
Key
all
say
heard it.
the Titans are ready to go to the Super Bowl. We heard him say it. Come on.
I mean, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Key's about to get all these new Titans people on his Twitter. I think it's just at Keyshawn. If you want to find him on there, give him some love. Titans people are going to love you in Nashville.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.